Hello, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 3 of Rewind with Ro. I'm your host, Ro Carter, and my amazing co-host,
Rob Smith.
What up, player? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Happy New Year. We're back.
Happy New Year. Yes.
We're going to start this year off right.
I love that.
You have any New Year's resolutions? Are you just...
I mean,
Did you film already? Did you I had some and now it's already 11 days in, it's over?
No, because I've been kind of I already eat pretty clean. I work out every day. So I already do the things that everybody's like, I'm going to change this about my life this year, which is fine. I applaud people for doing that at the top of every year. Just stay with it. But yeah, so I already do that stuff. And, I'm hyper focused on my career. I'm kind of, I'm just going to live in my truth.
Did you give yourself some acting goals? I want to get a movie. I want to get this. You do any of that or no?
Yeah, actually I did.
Are you going to try to push that envelope?
I'm going to keep pushing that envelope. Last year I was like, I want to get a substantial TV credit that I can be proud of. And I did. So this year is just really going to be expanded.
On strike right after. So that was great. Yeah.
I know. So I didn't really get to ride the wave of it. So, that's okay. That's 2024. I'm ready.
That's the story. I started one of my 6 weeks in guitar lessons, so that's going well. Yeah, play. I'm beyond here hello.
For us.
If you've ever played an instrument, I played the cello as a child, but the guitar, when you ever see an artist when their face goes like this and their body does things like this, I understand it now because at my age, I've already developed these muscles and they don't want to contort to this, to swings.
Yeah.
So when you see me, I'm trying to, so that's been fun. And then I am going to try to not purchase anything clothing wise, shoes wise for just January. I would like to do till the summer, but I'm gonna give myself just January and sober January as well. Double dip.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I've done this in the past, but I was like, you know what? Let's really cleanse the body.
I've already failed at both of those things.
Okay.
So I can't say I'm not going to buy anything or I'm not going to have a drink. I've already done both of those things. Okay. I was like, oh, it's a Happy New Year. I'm going to go buy myself some clothes. I did that already.
Yeah. So I did everything before December. I was like, ooh, let me order. And things have been coming in. She's like, I was like, where'd you get that from? I'm like, I don't know. Santa?
So, there it is.
All right, so we have some exciting movie tonight, and the Golden Globes happened this weekend. So Rob's going to tell us the winners.
And... drum line. It's supposed to be a drum line.
Only two sisters. And I give them a drum. Here's a boom, boom. There's your drum.
We had two wonderful, talented, beautiful actresses. There was Ayo Edebiri who won for The Bear, which, The Bear was such a big epic show for the past 2 years. And I'm so glad that they got some shine. I was surprised Abbott Elementary didn't walk away with anything because they've been winning every single year.
Yeah, I was like, this is quiet. And it was like, nah, we don't like them. They're too loud. It was a weird Golden Globes. I mean, no one liked the host. Everybody was.
I know, that was crazy. But yeah, so congratulations to her. She, that her role on that show is so phenomenal. And then of course, Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. So yeah, we have two wonderful actresses who
check out The Holdover. She was really great. She plays a mom who lost her son in the war, and she works at an academy for high schoolers. They get into private school afterwards in Boston. So it's a period piece. It's really good. She kills it. She really knocks it out the box. So it's nice to see her like get those accolades and really build. That's a big movie for her. So
Yeah.
you know,
those aren't the big award that was just given out.
yes, yeah.
Angela Bassett just got her honorary Oscar, so congratulations.
Not at the Oscars though. Before we're gonna give it before give it to the Oscars, which is like, hey, Angela, bye, stop complaining. You know.
No, but she deserved it, and her speech was beautiful, and she gave beautiful flowers to Regina King, who was there and presented to her. And we had our wonderful Martha Prosper attend the governor's ball for us. So in the Oscars, it's always so gracious. The Academy is always so gracious, and they allow us to come and be a part of their events and share the information with all of the beautiful people who love Black film. So yeah, congratulations to Angela Bassett.
Angela.
Jay.
Sort of made an interesting Sanjay. That's Angela wasn't in that. Well, anyway, we would do that over again.
I mean, what role would she play if we did that over again?
One of the ladies.
But they were all so perfect.
Yeah, again, that's a classic movie. I don't ever touch that, but that's a.
They already touched it. They made it.
That might be. Yeah, I think they did like the later years, and Robin.
Yeah, the kids in Boomerang. Yeah.
I didn't even bother to look at that, but no, but that was like a big. That might be. Is that one of my favorite Eddie Murphy films?
That is. Well, there's so many. Harlem Nights.
Oh, that one's up there. I think that's my favorite Boomerang.
Boomerang's my number one
because the soundtrack is amazing. Boyz II Men is in there. Hello, shout out to Boyz II Men.
Hello.
Well, again, I'm just going to end the road. I don't really care about anything else. And then there's that scene. Well, and then there's that scene with Halle Berry when he goes to the art school, and the girl's like, "Okay, this is fish." And it's like, this is blood. And then he's like, "This is blood." Why is the fish out of the bowl? And it was just great. It was like every attitude. Yeah, little girls back then. In your class, like. It's perfect. I mean, that's not even the best scene, but it's just all these little funny things. It's a great movie.
Love Should Have Brought You Home.
Yeah. It's
now. That was such an epic soundtrack.
Yeah, Coordinate. It's a great soundtrack and a great movie. So yeah, shout out to Eddie Murphy and Boomerang, classic. Anyway, so let's go right along. We are doing American Fiction. Came out a couple weeks ago. Now it's in theaters nationwide. It's getting a lot of news that this is a great film. I believe he's going to be nominated. I hope so. Jeffrey Wright.
He was nominated for a Golden Globe, right?
Yeah, he was nominated for a Golden Globe. So hopefully he'll get nominated for an Oscar. They don't overlook this film because it's a really great piece of work. And also, it's nice to see another side of Jeffrey Wright because he always plays a serious character. And for him to be like funny, but still have a demeanor that you're just like
so serious.
It was like Oscar the Grouch had a film, right? It was like have some fun.
Perfect.
So anyway, Yes. So American Fiction basically follows a professor, novelist, Thelonious, played by Jeffrey Wright, who is fed up with the establishment that relies on Black entertainment that uses old and tired offensive tropes. After seeing Issa Rae's character present her book at a reading, he gets really offended. He's like, wow, this is a big hit. So he decides, you know what? I can come up with my own book. And he's having a couple of drinks. And he decides to change his name to a pen name, Stag Our Lee, which is a classic song. I didn't know this. I looked a lot of things up. That's an old folk song. So if you ever Stag Our Lee, it's based on an old folk song. And so that's his pen name. And then he creates this whole character that has been arrested before. He's wanted by the police, which later is going to lead him into some things that maybe can destroy the relationships he has with his family, friends, and his career. And so we get to follow him throughout this. Now, there's a lot of things that go on to this film. I was like, wow, there was so many things. There's so many layers to this. We are not going to do spoilers, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to do spoilers.
No spoilers.
But what I will do, I'm going to touch on the characters and the relationships. That's what I'll do here. So this cast starts with Jeffrey Wright. He's actually teaching, which is a classic. So to start with the film, if you missed the first couple of minutes of the film walking in, if you walked in late, you missed a classic opening. So he is a professor. He's in tenure. He's basically discussing the N-word. And there's this white girl that's offended by it in the class when it's basically African studies. And she's like, I don't like, and he has the N-word on the whiteboard. And she's like, I don't like that word. He's like, well, I'm fine with it. You'll be okay with it. And so she reports him later. the faculty is not happy with him. The way he just goes about his studies. He offended a kid before. He's like, hey, were your family Nazis? And that didn't go well either. So you really get to learn what kind of character Monk is. But then later on, he gets some time off. And in that time, he goes back home to Boston. That's where I live right now. So I got to see this film in Boston, felt the energy of Boston as I watched the film. Predominantly white crowd, which is kind of interesting. Because there was a lot of jokes about white people and how they make decisions on things and how they don't hear us, and we'll discuss that. But you see the relationship of his sister, his mother, and his brother, and those are amazing relationships. I think that every Black family has. There's levels to it, and when we're together, we just kind of push those things aside, or there's those uncomfortable conversations. And I love this movie because it handles all those things that I know somebody at some point has gone through, and you get to see it live and really kind of, wow, that's a way I could have handled it. Or, yeah, I didn't get to say those things to my family member, to my dad, to my mom. So I love those uncomfortable conversations that were presented in this film, and how the relationships kind of grow. And then also the behind the scenes of how books are made, right? And the Hollywood scene of that, it really digs into that. So first, before we go into all those things, what did you think of the film?
Well, see, we talked about this before. I feel like anytime Hollywood decides to make a well-written book, this is based on a book called Erasure, and it was by an author named Percival Everett. And anytime you take a well-written book and try and translate it into a film, I think you already have like the foundation for something that's going to be really strong and beautiful, unless you just have a bad writer who screws it up. But this was written by an African-American screenwriter named Cord Jefferson. So we have to give props, where those props are due. And I just think it was so impeccably written. The language of the film is perfect. The like every aspect of this, the way the story is told is so beautifully done. I think it's refreshing to see this story. It's a conversation that needs to be had. And I think it's a conversation that we've all been having, where we feel like the world has this idea that Black people are a monolith, and the monolith that they want us to be is just one that is negative. Whereas like we're all these poor, uneducated people who are living under the foot of white society and what we've kind of had to deal with as a culture. And I think this film and this story puts a lens like right to that conversation. And it's like, hey, that's not the circumstance that we all live in. Though that is a part of our story, it's not the whole of our story. And I think the way that this was done was so well written that, like you said, I was sitting in a theater that was, I would say, a good mix of white, Hispanic, Black people, but everyone came out to see this film because it's been promoted very well. And I happened to be sitting right next to an older white couple, and then a young gay couple, and the Black guy, and then was sitting right next to me, and his partner was next to him. But it was really interesting because me and the Black guy were like rolling on the floor at all the same parts, and his partner was like pretty much in the same space. But a lot of the older people were like, I don't know, that's making me a little uncomfortable. But it was great because it's making them think about these conversations that they're probably having or that we often hear. So I really, really loved the storyline itself.
Yeah, so I have points that I really loved in the film that made me think about these situations. And also I want to do the characters. So you want to go through the characters first? I just give a little background of like what they're going through and what you thought about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's start with Tracee Ellis Ross' character, plays the sister to Jeffrey Wright's Monk's character, and to Sterling K. Brown, which he almost steals the movie, man. His name is Cliff in the movie. So Tracee Ellis is kind of dealing with their mom is showing signs of dementia. And she's been the one that's really trying to help out, to the point like she's back to smoking cigarettes. She's so stressed out. She's also a doctor. And she's asking Monk, hey, I need some help with mom because I can't do all this. And he's like, well, you're a doctor. You make money. He's like, she's just going through a divorce. And she's like, listen, man, I don't have the money or the time to really do this. I need you to be a part of this family. I need you to help out with mom. And so you see their relationship. I wish, and I'm not going to give this away, but I wish we had more on-time screen with Tracee Ellis Ross character and Monk. They were the siblings that if you don't have that relationship that you always wanted, when they caught up, they had the jokes on each other, right? But it was with love. They were charismatic. You could really see the love they had for one another and the understanding, like, hey, man, I know you're going through some tough times right now, but I'm here for you. And so I really love that dynamic. What did you think of that in her kind of her situation?
I thought it was great. And like you touched on this earlier, there's so many different elements to the film. It's not just about his journey as a writer and his journey trying to experiment with this trope that everybody has of Black people. It also dives into the dynamic of their family structure, which is crazy because, and one thing that I noticed, and I love seeing this when people cast Black movies, you know, they all are of a variety of complexions, because that's how it happens when you're a Black American. Like one of my oldest brothers is much darker than the rest. My sister and my brother are a little more fair than I am. So we're like the Cosby Show kids. Like we're all over the, you know, the color spectrum with complexion. And I think that's beautiful because that really is how Black families look. We don't all look one way. And then also like experiment. We're not all like just brown or just light skin or just dark skin. Like we come, like my mother's very fair, my father's dark skin. So we're all over the place. And I like when they cast films that way, so we don't all have to look one way, because Black families look a variety of ways. Also, I really loved the dynamic of like experience with family. Like as you get older, you start to experience like the deterioration of like the mental health or the physical health of your parents, right? So the person who is closest to that circumstance physically is quite often the person who has to deal with the burden of I don't want to say burden in a negative way, but the person who takes the grunt of that experience, having to like take care of your parents. Yeah. So I love that they weave that into it, and like the dynamic of the siblings in that way. Tracee Ellis Ross's character in specific, I really, really loved, because she brought a different level of humor to the story as well, because she was like the jokester of the siblings, where we saw Jeffrey Wright his character being more of that like dark, cynical, everybody's, you know, like sees the negative side of everything, and her character was that like breath of fresh air for him even, and for her brother. Like she was that bond that connected the siblings, because she was the one who was like always bubbly and happy and making a joke in the moment. So I loved her character. Like you said, I wish we got a little bit more time with her character. And then the same with Sterling K. Brown, with bringing in another dynamic, which I guess I shouldn't spoil, but you know, Black people having stigmas around certain types of lifestyles, and having to navigate the idea of like not being open and honest with everybody in your family for the entirety of your life, to the point where people don't really know fully who you are. So I think it was great that they explored that experience as well. So overall, I think they did a really good job with building the relationship between the siblings, and then also seeing a Black family that came from an environment where they had like basically a nanny and that au pair that lived in the house with them for their whole life, and she was still there kind of helping take care of their mother, and she was a Black woman too. So it was like great seeing that level of and then they were all doctors, so it was like this, you know, beautiful visual of the Black experience in a much different way, which was juxtaposed to what he was fighting against, which is the story that everybody wanted to hear in the books.
Yeah, so I was going to touch on Cliff's character played by Sterling K. Brown, and I think we could say it. You know, he goes through a divorce as well, and so it's really interesting, the dynamic and relationship between Cliff and Monk, because they never really talked. You know, Tracee Ellis Ross' character Lisa, she was the middle, like the glue that kept them together, right? And said, hey, this is what's going on with your brother. This is what's going on with your brother. So she was basically relating all that information back and forth. And so now they have to kind of push aside any feelings they've had in terms of like hatred or just disappointment, and be like, hey, we got to come together for mom and for the family. So how do we do this? And this is when Sterling really steals the show, because he opens up. He's hilarious. He's going through divorce, and he comes out of the closet. So you're like, oh, hello, and all these things. And it's a lot of things. There's some touching moments, and I'm gonna go divert to the mom a little bit because their mother was amazing. Lisa Uggams. She she did something that moms always do, when you come home. So like I haven't been home in a while, and then my mom's always like, "You gained weight. You look fat." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Hello." And so she does that to Monk right off the bat, and I was like, you know what? That's such a black mom. That's moms in general, but that's a black mom, like right off the bat, like, hey, baby, come on. You're getting too skinny on me. You're getting too fat. There's no in between. You're too
exactly.
skinny, too fat. And then there's another scene where I really felt for Cliff's character when the mom knew he was gay and her dementia is like on 100 now, and then she says something out of pocket, basically like they're dancing. It's a very special moment towards the end of the film, and they put her in a home and he's dancing with his mother, and all of a sudden she says, "You know what? I always knew you weren't gay," and it just broke him, and he's just like, I can't do this. And that's tough, right? Not only are you going through your own personal battles and your dad wasn't accepting of you, but your mom's not. And on top of that, she has dementia. She doesn't even know what she's doing. And so there was so many layers there. And I really loved that awkward moment. I think a lot of families deal with stuff, not saying at this level, or magnitude, but things that are just uncomfortable to talk about. And how do we do that? Do we just run away from our problems, or do we try to deal with that? And I love how they had that situation, like, oh man, what would I do? Right. I really put myself in my shoes there. Like, damn, mom is gangster. There was like, it was unnecessary, but it was a beautiful moment on screen. And like you said earlier, the writing was amazing. This film, I really think, I can't wait to see what Rob gives this film.
You already know. Come on.
I can't wait to see what Rob gives this film. Sorry, he's Hollywood over there. Got calls.
No, it's this new thing. I got a new laptop and I'm so
Oh, you hooked everything up so everything comes in at one time?
Yeah, I don't know how to turn it off. It just calls to my computer. I'm telling my age now. I'm too old. I don't even know how to figure this out.
What is this? A disc going here? What's going on?
This way you put the 8-track.
Exactly. One other character in there. So Monk is back in the beach town where his mother was. They're going to move around into a retirement home, and in doing so, he runs into this lady Coraline, which is a neighbor, and she's played by Erika Alexander, who has been in the game for such a long period of time. Looks amazing. She was beautiful. She's doing some. I got to find out what herb she's taking. She looked good. She like 75 years old.
It brought me so much joy to see Erika Alexander on screen. It brought me so much joy. Like, I just love her.
There's so many levels of beautiful melanin on screen in this film. It's everybody looks great. Cliff had his shirt off too long. I was, Sterling K. I'm like, brother, come on, you ain't got a shirt up in every scene.
Hey, Sterling was like, I got in shape.
He did. Sterling was like, hey man, you want me to take my shirt off again right now? You want to do it? I can do it.
He's like, I'm taking this shirt off in every movie.
Coraline's character basically plays a neighbor, and she hits it off with Monk, and they start talking. And as Monk's success rises, there's a strain on their relationship, right? He's really trying to figure out what's going on because, again, he's under this pen name. And so he can't really tell, like, hey, where's this money coming from now? All these things are starting to go in a different direction, and he has to keep it under hush. The only person that knows is his agent. And that relationship was amazing, too. Shout out to John Ortiz, plays Arthur, his agent. He's a great actor. He's been in so many things. The casting of this film was amazing. They did an amazing job. And then last thing I'll say, and you can discuss all those people, is Mira Lacrita. She plays Lorraine. She plays the au pair. Mm-hmm. And I was watching a couple of reviews, and it just really triggered something for me. It's interesting, and they didn't really touch on this because Jeffrey Wright's character starts to build the fame, and then his mom is now going to a home, and now it's like, what do you do with the maid? Luckily, her life goes in a different direction. But I think there's a lot of people of color who've been maids, and they're considered family, And then when the kids grow up, it's like, well, there's no use for you anymore, right? And there wasn't that deeper conversation, but I think on the surface level, there is that conversation of like, there's so many homes that like take these people in and have them watch your kids, like, and do everything they're basically like the parents. And then when the kids are too old, it's like, all right, thanks for your job. It's like, I paid you for a service, but not understanding what that service is. If you're going to call me family, then family is life, right?
Yeah.
I think people, it really means the term of my kid. When they become 15, 14, 13, yeah, that's the term limit, right? So 13 years, then you got to go. So it's really interesting to see that again on film, but also with the Black family. And I love that they didn't have to have that uncomfortable conversation, but it's just something to think about.
Well, they kind of tried to, they had it in a moment.
Yeah, well, like, what are we gonna do? But kind of it worked out in another way. Yeah, but they didn't really like, okay, this is what we owe her, or this is what we needs to be done, you know?
But I think that's where we kind of got to see also, even though Monk was like, even though Thelonious was like this really kind of like Oscar the Grouch, like you said, he still had some parts of him that were like sentimental and emotional, and we got to see that in moments like when they talked about her, and where Sterling's character was like, just fire her. He was so nonchalant about it. It was like, excuse me. So no, I think that
here's your robe. Here you go.
Yeah, exactly. I think that kind of really helped add a layer to our understanding of who these characters were and like what their experiences were. But at the same time, she was that one person for Sterling's character who kind of like made him feel safe and feel at home. But he was so I guess broken by his home experience and his relationship with his father and his mother, that he had hardened himself to everyone else. And we saw that with those little pieces of information, you know? So I love that they added that element.
Yeah. And also, so the movie, after we find out what Monk's kind of going through, he's been asked to be a part of a panel because it's lack of diversity. And so him and Issa Rae's character are on this, the only two Black people on this panel. And it's kind of interesting because he hates Issa Rae's book, but gets to understand her a little bit more as the panelists come and start reading on these books. Now, not to give it away, but his book actually gets put on this panel. He's like, no, this book is awful, you know, not knowing that he's the one who wrote it. And he really gets to see like what everybody's talking about, and everything that he hates is right in front of him. And he has to decide, you know, what do I do? Do I go with this? Has it run, you know, its course? What I will say, which was a great moment, and when he has a couple of drinks in him and he starts writing the book, you see it live. It's played live in front of us, and that was amazing. And the legend Keith David played Willie and his son, and they're acting out this scene in front, and I thought that was genius. I don't even know what that's called, right? It's not like what. Do you know what that's called when they're?
No, I don't know what.
Yeah, I got to find that out. I got to ask somebody. I was like, that was beautifully done. Like he's there and he's writing it up, but then they're acting the scene, and it was just it was great. And
he's talking to them as he does it too.
Yeah, he turned around, like, you gonna say it like that? Come on. It was a great moment. It's beautifully done. It doesn't seem like too crazy, and then you see a little bit of that later in the movie when they give you some alternate endings. So.
Yeah.
On and on, the film keeps you going. It's a roller coaster ride of emotions because you really get to love these characters, right? And you're invested in these characters. You want to see them all succeed, but at the same time, you're like, man, it could go the wrong way, right? And nothing's kind of fallen into place, and everything can be gone like overnight like that. The relationships, the new relationships that Monk has, his old relationships, and his career, right, can all be gone like that in 1 second. So you really are invested with his character and what they're going to do. There are some other things that I wanted to say. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that was great. And you know what's so funny? That moment was so good when he was writing. And I was like, oh, I wonder how much of this they're going to use throughout the story. I kind of thought in a moment, like,
a little more of it.
Yeah. But, you know, and the story was so good that I didn't even pay attention to the fact that it never came back.
I think it was just enough. Yeah, you didn't need any more of that. That was perfect.
Yeah.
And then when you see when he's trying to sell the book, you really see the behind the scenes, and the one lady, you can see it on the preview. She's like, "Oh, the Hamptons, they're gonna love this," and it's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna love this." It was all these little fun one-liners that were really amazing and great. So you're laughing through that. Depending what your audience is, you may not be laughing at all. But they discussed so many things. And the one thing that was big for me was, you know, they wanted to have inclusion of Black voices, but then when they had an opportunity, they're like, nah, you don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, hey, we shouldn't do this book because of that. And they're like, No, you don't know, and that speaks
Yeah,
to America and the people that are using the word woke all the time. Like, I'm like, you don't know what woke means. Like you're misrepresenting woke. You don't even understand the way woke is used. You've taken that word and made it your own, and it's, to us, we're like, you don't know what you're talking about. And so I love that there's a moment like that in this film.
Yeah.
You're like, aha, there you go, there it is. But I guarantee you, people would miss that.
I think a lot of people did miss
Right?
it.
They missed it, right? I'm looking around like, and I'm dying.
Next to me, we were rolling on the floor, and I think people were like, "Why are they laughing so hard?"
Yeah. Yeah. It's like they missed it. It's one of the, I think it's one of the biggest and most important scenes in the films. Like, hello, that's what we're talking.
I think they did it just subtly enough
to
see if everybody would notice that moment.
And did you do the same thing? I looked around, I'm dying laughing, like, there it is. I literally like, that's it. I'm like maybe 2 people got it. And I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, the film, I'm not going to give away the ending, but I will say there's an amazing moment when they show you these. Oh no, that's the wrong film. I'm thinking another film. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, I also like
quilt scene. It's going to be a quilt scene from The Color Purple. See that film as well. But that quilt was not in this movie. Sorry.
I actually love the introduction of Adam Brody's character as well, who was the
Hollywood exec who's going to make everything better. And he goes crazy overboard. He's like, no, we need more. We need more. You know, we got to have this. And so that's so Hollywood. And he was, I actually like him in general as an actor, Adam Brody. And he overplayed. I was like, ooh, I don't really, at first I was like, oh, this character's annoying. But he made it his own. Everybody made their characters their own, which is really great. Great supporting cast. I mean, honestly, when minus Sterling K. Brown stealing every scene, I think everybody really held their own, you know, that made the movie kind of go along, and it wasn't long and dragging. It was great. I was anticipating, like, oh my God, like, what's gonna happen? So really well done.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I'll say again, you know, flawlessly written and impeccably performed. They cast it so well. See, and the problem is, bro, you keep picking these movies. This is the problem. You keep picking movies that are really good. Now, if we go back, I'm telling you, we go back to some of these Tubi movies, then maybe you're going to get a different response. But you can't pick.
You got Kevin Hart next week.
Oh, Kevin Hart. The movies are always good. So, but you picked a film that was crafted from a novel that is cast with some of the most talented actors of our time. So, like, the expectation should be that I'm going to give it a good rating. Come on now, bro.
Listen, we're going to have a good 2 months. We got some really big films coming out. So I'm excited to see some brothers across the pond. They're dominating right now. I think the next couple of films, you have some the brothers from London acting. So you have some things in the kitchen, Fire in the Kitchen, something like that. That one's coming out, and then you have Marley. That looks great. Like, there's some really good films coming out. So I'm excited to discuss these and kind of go over that. Be interesting to see. I mean, portraying like legends is tough. It's really tough.
Yeah.
I mean, legends. Not you're like, man, who I gotta be? Oh man, and that's it. So that can make or break your career. So
a few of those coming up.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to see where we're gonna go with the show. I'll be moving to Miami as of this weekend, Sunday. So we are doing shows in Miami. We're gonna have some great things for you people. Great ideas. February probably better when I can drink, but January gonna be tough. Gonna be a little slow, but we're gonna have
2 more weeks.
There you go. All right, the big time. All right, drum roll. What do you give this film?
I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. I'm not even pausing on that. It's a 10 out of 10. Go see this movie. Go support American fiction. I think it is phenomenal. Jeffrey Wright, Tracee Ellis Ross, Sterling K. Brown. Everyone in this film was their performances were flawless. I can't say enough how much the writing was impeccable. So Corey Jefferson, kudos to you. And now it's making me want to go read the book. Now I'm gonna go read the book. So, you know, go watch it. Go watch it. I don't know how much longer it has in the theaters because it came out in 2023, which was 2 weeks ago. But but go see this movie. It's flawless. It's flawlessly done. It's beautiful.
And don't be offended. Open your eyes, open your ears and your minds.
What about you, Ro? Come on.
I'm gonna give it a 9.
Just shave off points for no reason. So just go.
I'm gonna give it a 9. You know why? I needed more Tracee Ellis Ross.
But I think okay, I'm gonna be quiet.
Yeah, you can't give it away. I wish the character, because I love that relationship, and I kind of feel he needed that. And maybe the alternate endings, I was like, oh, don't give me nothing. You know, those are 2 things that I have gripes with. Otherwise,
alternate ending, I thought it was clever because it wasn't as if the film was giving us.
No, of course, but I was just like,
I thought it was so cleverly done that they did the.
I get tired when you do like, okay, here we go, another one. We're going to try. Okay, now we're ending the movie. I'm like, well, and you know, if you like one, you're like, oh, I like that ending, and you're like, no, we're not going to do that. Let's give you this one. Because
in the end, the story comes full circle, not in the way that we want it to. It goes right back to the BS because we're like, it could end like this, and then Hollywood is like, that ain't black enough. So you know, it goes to the ending that it's just. I thought it was perfectly done.
Again, great film. Give it a 9. I don't just give 10s out like you do, buddy. You just give 10s out like hotcakes. You're like, here you go. You want 10? Who needs 10? Everybody needs 10. Like you're like the Oprah of 10s here. You're just like, you get 10. You get a 10. You get a 10.
Hey, it deserved it.
All right, a great film. Jeffrey Wright, shout out to him. Oscar, please, and Sterling K. Brown. I mean, nominate this brother. He was great. Everybody was amazing.
Yeah,
it's a really good movie. All right, so we'll be back next week. We will have Kevin Hart's new film, which is called Lift. It'll be on Netflix. I think it drops this Friday.
Amazing.
Boom. There we go. All right. Thank you for your time, everybody. You have a great week. Be safe. And there's a storm coming, so be careful.
Buckle up.